Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name's Jason and this is the beginning of yet another brand new series, but I'm really excited about this one and I'm hoping that you will be too. While I generally like to spend a lot of my time talking about the things I like, I appreciate that that's not the most interesting thing for everyone. So I've come up with this new series as a way to try to talk about more intriguing things, specifically my love of strange scientific and philosophical theories and how they relate to games, because I like to stay on brand and I like to find tenuous links to things because it's fun to do. So this is my brand new series called Game Theory, which is probably the final name, we'll see how that goes, in which I do just that. My aim here is to teach you something interesting and intelligent through the medium of something stupid. I'm not saying that video games are stupid, I'm saying that my videos are, because self-deprecation is a huge part of my personality, so deal with it. For the first entry in this video series, I'm going to be teaching you about something called Laplace's Demon through the medium of Rocket League, which is a game you've probably heard of. Just in case you haven't heard of it, Rocket League is a game in which you take control of a rocket-powered car that yeets a big old football around a gigantic field. Aside from being a worst possible community in existence simulator, it also happens to be one of the biggest indie games in recent memory and is an awful lot of fun to boot. At low levels, it's all about zooming around as fast as you can, trying to score using a bicycle kick, missing, and ending up in the goal yourself as your opponent accidentally scores an own goal. At higher levels, it becomes much more about understanding not only where the ball is at the time, but where it's going, which other players might be able to hit it, and how they're likely to affect the way it's moving. So that's Rocket League. Let's talk about Laplace's Demon. Before we meet the demon, let's talk about Pierre-Simon Laplace himself. Born in 1749 in France, Laplace was a polymath, and just generally kind of a show-off. He did a huge amount of work that is integral to how we understand engineering and mathematics and various other things, as well as generally thinking out loud and positing clever questions and thought experiments. I don't want to talk about his theories in general, though. I want to talk about Laplace's Demon, in which he posited that if a being was intelligent enough and had the understanding to be able to know exactly where everything in the universe was, as well as the forces that would apply to them, it would effectively be able to predict the future as easily as you or I could remember the past. Recent past. I'm getting old, my memory's going. The thing is, though, Laplace never actually used the phrase demon. What he said, and you will have to forgive me for this intense sin, is une intelligence rien ne serait incertain pour elle et l'avenir comme le passé serait présent ainsi you. That's almost definitely wrong, but I think we can agree I tried and we should just move on from it. Fun fact about that particular butchered attempt of saying what he said is that actually he uses the feminine pronoun there, not the masculine or non-binary one, as it were. So what he was saying basically is that if an intelligence was great enough, then she could understand everything going on in the universe as long as they had understanding of where things were and what was about to happen to them, which makes sense if you think about it, as hard as it is for us to wrap our heads around that. There's a lot of reasons that this is an interesting theory, and perhaps the most intriguing one, at least for me, is that it suggests that everything's predetermined. If you can predict the future just by knowing everything that's about to happen, then it suggests that everything is set in motion and there's nothing you can do about it. Now, I personally don't ascribe to that. I believe that things aren't predetermined because otherwise there'd be no point in doing everything, but we'll avoid that particular philosophical landmine for the moment and talk about some of the theories which suggest otherwise very briefly. One of my favourite rebuttals to this idea of Laplace's demon is based in quantum mechanics and is the Copenhagen interpretation, which suggests that quantum matter doesn't have set properties until you actually try and measure it. They're all wibbly wobbly. I'll go into that in another video once I find a game that works with that, but I just want to bring that up very quickly. On the other hand, there are some quantum mechanical theories which suggest that this could be the case. My favourite of which, and is actually one of my favourite theories in general, is the many worlds interpretation, which suggests that everything that happens is indeed what happens, but that at each potential decision point or change, a different world branches off from it. Again, I will 100% find a video game which suits that as a video and as a way of talking about it, because I love it, but I wanted to bring that up as a rebuttal to the rebuttal so that we're still on course with Laplace's Demon. Now then, all of this is all good and well, but how does it relate to Rocket League? I hear you screaming at me from the future. I don't have a theory for that. I'm sure there is one. We'll get to that. I want you to stay with me here, which to be fair, you should do if you've made it this far and survived my attempt at French. Imagine the ball in Rocket League is a particle. Now imagine the cars serve as a personification of the forces that can affect that particle. What you now have is a working model of Laplace's demon. Assuming you know where the ball is, where it's going, and what forces will apply to it, you can safely and fairly effectively predict where it's going to be. At the highest levels of the game, the aim is not just to predict all of this, but then to have a great enough level of control over the ball that you can completely stop your opponent interacting with it at all. If you watch the best players, they look at where the ball is going to be, make sure they have enough force to control it, and then guide it gently across the field into the best possible position, all the while keeping in mind the way the ball will move when it impacts against any other surfaces, and occasionally other players as well. That means that every single player is not only a version of Laplace's demon, albeit with only one particle instead of the entire universe, but that they can process all of that information while also doing backflips in the air and scoring sick dunks. That's a little more impressive than the demon itself, but again, it is only with one single particle. So there you have it. Every single player in Rocket League is embodying just a tiny fraction of what Laplace's demon could be capable of. Now, I appreciate this is a bit different, but if you stuck with it, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you maybe learned something from it, and if you did, it would be wonderful if you could subscribe to my channel, and even better, if you want to, if you supported my Patreon, which I'll leave a link to in the description below. Thank you as always for joining me, and until next time, take care and have fun. Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. There's a cat in the background of my video. It's going to the litter tray. I don't know why they're like this. I love them and I feed them so often, and yet here we are.